after they got to South Vietnam in 1969 as part of the 101 1st Airborne Division. And again, was killed July 21st. So he remember I said that was a 23-day battle. He was killed towards the end, July 21st, 1970. It said the base came under heavy mortar fire, 82 millimeter mortar fire from the Vietnam. It just Well,
do you imagine? Again, I don't want to take too much time away from Tillman because I know we want to talk about him. But imagine surviving that. We never give enough credit,
correct,
to these veterans, and again, as officers, we come across a lot of homeless people, and you come across these veterans that are most times homeless, and could you imagine the toll that takes on you mentally to survive something like that? 75 people killed under attack. I'm sure it's probably a constant barrage for 23 days. How do you?
I know.
How do you walk away from that unscathed?
And just to get back to First Lieutenant Kelsu, too. I said pro football player. He was actually the first contemporaneously active pro athlete, period, to be killed in war. And then the next one.
In the Vietnam War?
It says in war, period. Yeah. I mean, I know we had athletes that died in World War I and II. We talked about that. And then Vietnam. And then no person that was playing professional sports, right, died in war since Bob Kelsu in 70 until we get to Pat Tillman in 2004. Right. That's what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense.
You kind of see the shift. I think you see the shift, and it's not degrading anybody. I mean, it takes a certain special kind of person to enlist in the military.
It absolutely does.
Fight. I mean, that is not something that obviously I didn't do it. You didn't do it,
correct?
Right? And we were in that time frame. But I think you see a shift. I definitely think you see a shift in the, call it like civic responsibility or whatever, where, there were plenty of people, obviously, in the Desert Storm and forward that signed up. I mean, to show you so many that we didn't have to have a draft. Yeah. But you don't see that professional athlete kind of participation.
And that's what makes the Pat Tillman story so incredible.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah, the man's a hero, no matter which way you look at it.
And obviously doing research for this, I mean, there's all kinds of writings and articles and workups on Pat Tillman. I went right to the Pat Tillman Foundation. Yeah. So I'm gonna read some of this verbatim here. So Pat Tillman, he was born on November 6, 1976 in San Jose, California. He was the eldest of 3 boys, so he had 2 younger brothers. Okay. Pat was known to be a natural leader with a tendency always to push the limits in his life in both the classroom and on the field. He was very, from the research and people talk about him, very analytical, loved to read, really smart. He went to Leland High School in San Jose from 90 to 94. So he was in high school when I was playing college football at UMass. So I'm a little older than him, but still around that same time frame. In high school, he was, again, star athlete, led his school to the Central Coast Division I football championship. And he was one of those guys that was basically told he was too small, right, to go on and play Division I. Right. And so you're asking, well, how big was he? I think I want to say when he played professionally and even played at Arizona State, I want to say he was about 5'11", 200 pounds, maybe got up to 205. So he was probably smaller than that in high school, obviously. But, yeah, not the biggest guy. And he played linebacker, too.
He looked like, you look at his pictures, though, he looks like.
Well, he was solid. He's solid. Yeah. You know what I mean? But after his high school career, Arizona State, recognized his potential. And, again, really good student in the classroom, which goes a long way, right? So not only a good player, but really good in the classroom. Arizona State, the Sun Devils give him a scholarship. And then it talks about, again, where Pat lacked in physical size, he more than made up for it in his intensity in his play. He led Arizona State to the 1997 Rose Bowl after an undefeated season. He earned 3 consecutive selections to the Pac-10, it was Pac-10 back then, all-academic football team, first team academic All-American honors, as well as the NCAA's postgraduate scholarship for academic and athletic excellence.
I don't think that's an easy thing
No,
to do.
I mean, he earned a BS in marketing,
right?
graduating summa cum laude from ASU's prestigious W.P. Carey School of Business, and he did it in 3.5 years. So he's just a different type.
Meanwhile, all the time playing football,
absolutely,
college football,
and all the honors, right?
For a Pac-10 team, and that's
yeah. So, which of course is now Pac-12. So he was a phenomenal person. I don't even want to say player.
That's
phenomenal
a
person, a phenomenal package.
Absolutely.
In 1998, the Arizona Cardinals, and this happens a lot too. So again, he played a lot of linebacker, so he's definitely undersized for a linebacker.
What, outside?
I believe he was an outside linebacker. Yeah,
Okay.
he was not. I'm sure he wasn't a middle linebacker, so he was probably a weak side linebacker. The Cardinals, which obviously the NFL team, really right in the hometown, right where he plays, are going to get a good look at him. So a lot of times you'll see players that kind of get labeled as, oh, he's a little too slow or he's not big enough. That hometown pro team where the college is will say, oh, we'll take a shot with him because we really know his intangibles. So the Cardinals did that. They drafted him in the 7th round, which was 98. There was only 7 rounds in 1998. So they drafted him in the 7th round. Again, many people doubted his ability, yada, 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 the same thing. And a guy like that, that's a chip on his shoulder. That's only going to make him. But they talk about how he answered his skepticism by becoming the team's starting safety. Now, he moved to safety.
Okay.
Which is fine. You know what I mean? He's athletic enough to do it, fast enough to do it.
I was going to say, I'm assuming he's pretty
fast.
And
he ended up breaking the franchise record for tackles in 2000 with 224 tackles for the Cardinals. And so, a safety, he's the hard-nosed safety you like because he'll come up and run support. He'll make a lot of tackles. He's not afraid to put his nose in there. Right. So, just a phenomenal year in 2000. But this gives you an idea of what kind of person he was. They talked about how he still drove to his games with the Cardinals with the same beat-up pickup truck he had in college, right? So that's awesome. That gives you kind of the mindset of Pat Tillman. They said he didn't have a cell phone, which I really admire because I was just telling someone the other day, these cell phones, I hate them. As great as technology is, it's kind of ruining our kids. I'm trying to teach my daughters, you need to have conversations with people face to face. You got to look at people in the eyes. You need to shake hands. It's just it's an issue we have with this younger generation because of these damn cell phones.
I have that ADHD thing going where I can't sit and not look at something, so it drives me crazy. So
and it talks about how he loved to read and just develop his mind. And so anyone that knew Pat always talked about that. He volunteered. Boys and Girls Club, March of Dimes, all the things that everyone says they're going to do,
but he
wishes they did. He did. Not only does he did it. You know what I mean?
That's selfless is kind of a word that comes to mind. Driven and selfless.
Absolutely. So the day after the 9/11 attacks in 2001, Pat told a reporter, "At times like this, you stop and think about just how good we have it." What kind of system we live in and the freedom we are allowed. A lot of my family has gone and fought in wars, and I really haven't done a damn thing. So he was just like, okay, I'm a football player. I got this business degree. I volunteer, but what have I really done for my country? And that's what we're talking about. The older generation all really acted on it. And, for him to do what he did is amazing. So in the spring of 2002, Pat married his high school love, Marie, and upon their return from their honeymoon, he announced to the Cardinals that he decided to place his NFL career on hold and to enlist in the U.S. Army with his brother Kevin. Okay, it talks about how the decision shocked many and garnered national media attention, despite his refusal to speak publicly about the choice. Because I think there was a lot of people that thought, well, it's a publicity stunt. Yeah, it's going to make him feel better and. He's a football star. They're not going to put him in the front lines, right? Yeah. What we kind of talked about before. But Pat and his brother Kevin joined, as I said, the U.S. Army in that July. So he enlisted in spring, joined in July. They both signed up for 3-year-long commitments. Okay. They were assigned to the 2nd Battalion of the 75th Ranger Regiment in Fort Lewis, Washington.
Right. Say that again. Ranger Regiment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he was, a cook or something.
The Rangers were
special forces
getting down in it. They were in the trenches.
Yeah.
Him and his brother both served tours in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003.
Okay.
And in Afghanistan during Operation Enduring Freedom in 2004. It was there on the evening of April 22nd, 2004, where Pat's unit was ambushed as it traveled through the rugged canyon terrain of eastern Afghanistan. It talks about his heroic efforts to provide cover for his fellow soldiers as they escaped from the canyon led to his untimely and tragic death. It's since come out,
Yeah, there's a lot of investigation.
During the investigation, he died during friendly fire.
Sure.
That doesn't make it any less heroic because as a police officer, you and I, we've been on a bunch of chaotic scenes, right?
Sure.
Where you can say, after the scene, you kind of you sit back and you analyze it and you go through things, right? And you can see how crossfire and just things happen. I could only imagine in the rugged canyons and the terrain of Afghanistan.
Sure.
And you got enemies all around you, and people are scattered, and you're just trying to survive and save your fellow soldiers. Just the craziness that went on. So it's unreal,
Yeah, and that's. What do we train for all the time? Training about watch for crossfire situations. That's what we train for. But again, training goes out the window a lot of times when it gets that chaotic. You're right.
He was 27 years old when he was killed in action. And for those wondering, and a lot of you know, so I ended up playing 4 seasons.
Okay.
When he told the Cardinals he was leaving to go to the U.S. Army and become a Ranger, he left a $3.6 million 3-year contract on the table. He actually had bigger contract offers, I want to say, after that 2000 season where he led him in tackles.
Right.
I think the St. Louis Rams, they were St. Louis Rams back then, offered him like a $9 million deal that he turned down because of his loyalty to the Cardinals, because the Cardinals drafted him and they wanted him. So this is a guy that he wasn't driven by money.
No.
But, most people say he gave up millions of dollars to go to war.
He walked away from $3.6 million.
And he fought for our country. And again, the freedoms that allow us, right, to do a podcast, the freedoms that allow us to go on boats today and Memorial Day and have picnics with our family. And, I'm going to say something here. In society today in our country, there's a lot of division.
Sure.
I think we can agree on that. I will never, ever, and this bothers me. And listen, I respect people's different beliefs than mine. I have no problem with it. I tell people all the time, if you're a good person, we don't have to agree politically. We don't have to agree ideologically. But if you're a good person, I'll like you. I'm not going to not like you and have a beer with you or coffee with you. If you're a good person, I'm good to you. You're good to me. I love you, man.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. We can agree to disagree on a lot of stuff. This is the greatest country in the world. And it really disheartens me when people bash it and don't say, do we have issues? Of course we do. But guess what? This country, this greatest country in the world, this melting pot, it mirrors our real lives, right? We all have struggles. Yeah. We all make bad choices. We also do great things. We love people. We help people. Sure. And that's what this country is, and it's evolving and it gets better. And then maybe it takes a step back, but then you take 2 forward. This country is just like us as people.
Yep.
Okay? And it's the greatest country in the world. Okay? Absolutely. And that's why everyone wants to come here. So I just wanted to say that, especially on Memorial Day, because it's because of the greatness of this country that a great American like Pat Tillman gave up $1 million contract, even though he wasn't thinking about the money. No. But the greatness of this country made Pat Tillman do what he did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And the generations that we talked about before. So
he's the exception to the rule. I mean,
he
think
is.
about it.
He is. Listen.
And you know what? Hearing what you're saying, again,